Good morning, grade 11s. I've just had a few questions on how to deal with radicals when there's something squared underneath. So let's just take a look at 7b here. So what we would do first is you always want to make sure that the radical is by itself on one side of the equation. So this one it is. Then once the radical is by itself, you can square both sides. So that way the square and the square root cancel. So you're left with x squared plus 12x equals 64. Now I can tell that this is a quadratic. So we have to think about how do we solve a quadratic. Remember, our options are to factor or use the quadratic formula once everything has been moved to one side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract the 64 over, and then this one I see should be easy to do with factoring, because two numbers that add to get to 12 and two numbers that multiply to get to negative 64 would be 16 and negative 4. 16 and negative 4. So when I factor this, we get x plus 16 and x minus 4, which means we have two answers because we could set each of these equal to 0. So x plus 16 equals 0, subtract the 16 over. So one of my answers is that x is negative 16. The other one would be, if I follow the same process, would be that x equals positive 4. So there we have the solutions to that problem. Next, let's look at number 8a. This is a little bit different because I can notice that there's a 5 on the same side as the root. So we have to start this one by subtracting the 5 to the other side. So we get 3x minus 5 equals x minus 5. But then when I square both sides, this side works out nicely. The square and the square root cancel, just leaving us with 3x minus 5. But on the other side, you actually have to square it and then FOIL it out. So you actually would write x minus 5 times x minus 5 and go through the FOIL process. So when you go through the FOIL process, you get x squared minus 10x plus 25 after you've FOILed it all out. Same thing now. Let's move everything to one side and then either factor or use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to subtract 3x over and add the 5 over. So we end up with 0 on this side, and then x squared minus 13x plus 30 on this side. Now again, this one factors nicely because I'm looking for two numbers that add to get to minus 13 and two numbers that multiply to get to positive 30. Now be careful, this is kind of a tricky one. The numbers should be minus 10 and minus 3. So that means, again, that x minus 10 is one of my factors and x minus 3 is one of my factors. And so when I figure out the solutions, we get solutions of 10 and 3. So I hope that helps with some of your questions. Feel free to email me if you have any more. Have a great day.